I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this, but here I am, trying to make sense of everything that's happened. My name's Mike, and I was with Lisa for almost 5 years. We'd planned our wedding, picked out a house, and everyone thought we were the perfect couple. Honestly, I believed it too. She always seemed a little high maintenance, a little bitchy sometimes, but I figured she just had her moments. Most of us do. She was gorgeous, confident, and had this way of making you feel like she was the center of everything. People said she was the kind of woman who knew what she wanted and went after it. But I guess I was blind not to see the signs. At first, it was little things: late nights on her phone, secretive texts, the occasional unexplained absence. I'd ask her about it and she'd brush me off, saying I was overthinking or being paranoid. That should have been a red flag, but I loved her. I wanted to believe she was just busy or stressed, not sneaking around. Still, something about her changed after a while. She became colder, more dismissive, and would get defensive if I ever questioned her. I'd catch her lying about small stuff, where she was, who she was with, the typical signs you ignore because you want to trust. Then, around a week before the wedding, I started noticing her phone was always with her, even at dinner. She'd quickly lock it whenever I came close or hide it in her purse. One night, I caught her in a lie about a dinner with her sister, which she canceled last minute. Instead of being honest, she snapped at me, saying I was suffocating her, that I didn't trust her, that I was paranoid. That's when I started feeling a pit in my stomach. Something was definitely wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. I was too wrapped up in the wedding planning, in the idea of finally marrying the woman I thought I loved. But then came the night I found the evidence. I was trying to surprise her with flowers, just a little gesture to show I cared, and I ended up rummaging through her purse looking for her keys. I saw it. Her phone was buzzing nonstop with messages from Jack. Jack, the guy I'd always considered my best friend. We'd known each other since college, and I trusted him. Or at least I thought I did. The messages were explicit, full of flirtatious banter, plans to meet up, and even talk about fucking when she was alone. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My hands trembled as I read through them, realizing that the woman I was about to marry had been cheating on me with my best friend all along. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it at first. She just looked at me with that bitchy smirk and said, "You're blowing this way out of proportion, Mike. Jack and I are just friends. You're being paranoid as usual." I lost it. How could she lie so easily? I told her I saw the messages and that I knew everything. Her reaction was shocking. She started crying, but not because she was sorry, no. She started calling me crazy, saying I was insecure and that Jack and I weren't even that close anymore. She claimed Jack was just a buddy, that I was imagining things, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. That moment crushed me. I felt betrayed, not just by her but by Jack too. These feelings of betrayal hit me hard, like a punch to the stomach that I couldn't breathe through. I had trusted them both, and now I wondered how deep this deception ran. Was there more? Had she been lying to me about everything? I couldn't sleep that night, replaying everything I'd seen, feeling my world unravel. I started questioning every moment, every word, every glance. How did I get here? How did the woman I was supposed to marry cheat on me with my best friend? And why did I feel this strange mixture of anger, heartbreak, and numbness all at once? That's where I am now, trying to piece this mess together. I don't know what's worse, knowing she cheated, or feeling like I've lost every ounce of trust I ever had in anyone. It's like the ground's been ripped out from under me, and I don't even know who I am anymore. I just know I need to figure out my next move. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't look at Lisa the same way. She was still there, acting like nothing had happened, throwing around her usual bitchy, dismissive attitude. But I saw through it now. That smirk, the way she dismissed my feelings, the way she lied so effortlessly, it all just made me more furious. I started noticing little things she did after that night. How she avoided certain questions, how she wouldn't look me in the eye when I pressed her, and the way she'd suddenly be busy whenever I tried to talk. It was like she was planning her next move, or maybe just trying to cover her tracks. The worst part was the betrayal of Jack, my best friend. I thought we were tight, but turns out he was just waiting for his chance to swoop in. I remember the last time I saw him, at a barbecue we hosted with some friends, actually. We were joking, laughing, acting like nothing was wrong, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he knew that he'd been playing me all along. I'd always trusted Jack, he was like a brother. And now I felt like an idiot for not seeing the signs. How could I have missed it? How could I have trusted them both? I started doing my own digging after the confrontation. I got access to Lisa's phone. She left it lying around one day, thinking I wasn't paying attention, and I found even more proof. There were texts not just of flirty messages, but of planning secret meetups, sneaking around in hotels, talking about fucking all night. The level of betrayal was beyond anything I could have imagined. Every message felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I felt sick, like I was living someone else's nightmare. I kept asking myself, why? How? What did I do wrong? I've always been straightforward, honest, and committed. I gave her everything I had. And for what? To find out she'd been cheating on me, lying to my face, and sharing intimate moments with Jack behind my back. It was a lot to process. The shock turned into anger and then a strange sense of numbness. I'd never felt anything like this before. I wondered if I could even trust anyone again. The next few days were a blur. I started planning my reaction. I knew I couldn't just sweep this under the rug. I needed to confront them both properly. I wanted answers. I deserved answers. I was furious at Jack, the guy I'd considered my brother, and at Lisa. I'd trusted with my heart. It felt like my whole world was crumbling and I was just standing in the middle of the rubble. Every time I saw her, I felt like I was kissing betrayal all over again. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, her dismissiveness, it all made my skin crawl. One thing I knew for sure, I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not without a fight. I decided I had to do something that would make her regret ever crossing me. I wasn't just going to walk away, broken and betrayed. No, I was going to make her see what she lost. I was going to make Jack regret ever messing with my life. I was sick of feeling like I was the only one hurting while they played their games. It was time for some serious revenge, and I wasn't going to stop until I got it. So, I started devising a plan. I knew I had to be careful, no impulsive moves, no rushing in blindly. I wanted to catch them off guard, expose everything, and make sure they understood that their betrayal wasn't just a mistake, it was a declaration of war. I wanted to leave them with nothing but regret and guilt, to make sure they knew I wasn't going to be their punching bag anymore. And honestly, I wasn't even sure what my next step should be after that, but one thing was clear. I was done trusting, done forgiving, and done pretending I was okay with it. This was war, and I was ready to fight for what was left of my dignity. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became that I couldn't just confront Lisa and Jack and hope for some kind of honest resolution. That wasn't going to work. No, I needed a plan, something calculated, something that would hit them where it hurt, but also give me the proof I needed to fully destroy their little illusion. I started gathering evidence, planning my next moves carefully. I wanted everything out in the open, no room for her to lie her way out this time. I hired a private investigator. Yeah, I know, it sounds extreme, but I needed concrete proof. I couldn't trust her anymore. I wanted her caught in the act if I was going to expose her for what she really was. I told him to follow her, track her phone, and find out if she was meeting Jack anywhere. I didn't want to believe they were still secretly sneaking around, but deep down I knew I had to prepare for the worst. I needed to see it with my own eyes. It didn't take long. A week later, I got the call that confirmed everything. Lisa was meeting Jack at a hotel downtown, late at night, of course. They'd been doing this for weeks, maybe longer. The investigator even got photos of them together. Jack's hand on her waist, her leaning into him like she actually wanted me to see. It was like a punch to the stomach all over again. I stared at the images and felt my world collapse even further. I'd always suspected, but knowing for sure was something else entirely. I sat there for a while, feeling numb, trying to process the flood of emotions, anger, betrayal, sadness, and a strange sense of relief that I finally had proof. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. They'd been lying to my face all this time, and now I had the evidence to prove it. I knew I had to confront her again. But this time it wouldn't be just a fight. This would be the moment I finally stood up for myself, no matter how brutal it got. That night, I waited until she came home. I wanted her to see the photos when I was calm, collected, so she wouldn't be able to spin her usual lies. When she walked in, I didn't even bother to hide my anger. I just showed her the photos, laid them out on the table, and watched her reaction. Her face twisted into that bitchy smirk again, like she thought she could lie her way out of this, but I wasn't having it. "Tell me what the hell this is, Lisa," I said, voice cold and steady. She looked at the pictures, then at me, and for a moment I thought she'd actually feel guilty. But no. Instead, she started with her usual bullshit, saying it was not what it looks like, that Jack was just a friend, that I was overreacting, that I was jealous and possessive. She said she was tired of my trust issues, that I was crazy for accusing her without proof. I felt my blood boil. She was trying to turn it around, make me the villain for finally catching her. I didn't buy her lies this time. I told her I knew about everything, about Jack, about the hotel, about the secret meetings. And I told her I'd had enough, that I was done being played for a fool. At that moment, I realized that whatever I'd had left of trust was completely gone. She looked at me, eyes narrowing, and said, "You're just mad because you're about to lose me, but I'm not the one who's cheating." That was the last straw. I knew she was lying, but hearing her say it out loud made me realize that I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent anymore. After that, I called off the wedding. I couldn't marry someone who so blatantly lied and betrayed me. I told her I wanted nothing to do with her anymore, and I packed my things that night. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, walking out of the house, leaving behind the woman I thought I was going to spend my life with, knowing she'd been screwing my best friend. It felt like my entire world had shattered in the span of a few hours. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind, so naive. In the days that followed, I felt a mixture of relief and deep sadness. I was finally free from her lies, but I also felt the empty space she left behind. I thought about all the moments I thought were real, all the plans we'd made, and all the trust I'd given her. It's hard to rebuild after that kind of betrayal. The trust is gone, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust again. But I do know one thing: she and Jack got exactly what they deserved. And me? I'm just trying to move on piece by piece. The aftermath hit me harder than I expected. After I kicked her out and called off the wedding, everything felt like a bad movie I couldn't wake up from. Friends and family were supportive, but I could see the pity in their eyes. They knew, just like I did now, that I'd been blindsided by people I trusted most. Lisa kept calling me, trying to spin her lies, acting like I was the crazy one. She'd say I was overreacting, that I was jealous, that Jack was just a friend. Honestly, I don't know why I even bothered to listen anymore. I knew the truth. The first few days were filled with sleepless nights, replaying everything, questioning if I missed some signs, some warning. I kept asking myself what I could have done differently, but deep down, I knew that no matter what I did, this was on them. They chose to betray me, to lie, to cheat. I started doing some soul searching, trying to find out how I got here. I realized I'd always wanted to see the best in people, but that only blinded me sometimes. Trust is a fragile thing. Once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. I also started distancing myself from the worst of it, cutting out Lisa's friends who kept pushing her version of the story. I didn't want their pity or their gossip. I just wanted to heal. I threw myself into work, tried to stay busy, but inside I was hollow. Every day I'd wake up feeling like I'd been punched in the chest. The betrayal stung more because it came from someone I thought was my forever. Jack, too, my best friend. I kept thinking about all those times we'd hung out, had drinks, and joked about women. He was supposed to be like a brother. Instead, he was just another snake in the grass. One thing I kept coming back to was the fact that Lisa didn't even seem sorry. She didn't beg for forgiveness, didn't try to explain or make amends. She just kept lying, throwing around her bitchy attitude and trying to manipulate her way out of it. It made me wonder how many other lies she'd told, how many other guys she'd messed around with before me. The thought made my stomach turn. Honestly, I started to see her as someone entirely different, someone who thrived on lies, on deception. That realization hurt the most because I had genuinely believed she was better than that. In the midst of all this chaos, I also had to deal with Jack. We had this long history, and I kept asking myself how he could do this to us. I confronted him one last time, face to face. I told him I never wanted to see him again, that our friendship was over. His excuse was weak, said he was drunk, that he didn't mean for things to go that far, but I didn't buy it. Jack knew exactly what he was doing, and I felt betrayed on a level I hadn't before. How could he have been so selfish? How could he have taken advantage of my trust like that? That confrontation left me feeling empty. I realized that some people are just poison, that their actions reveal who they really are. Jack was supposed to be my brother, and he betrayed me for a quick fuck. Lisa, who I thought I'd marry, was just using me as a stepping stone. It's a brutal lesson in trust and deception. Still, I knew I had to move forward, even if it felt like I was walking through a fog. I couldn't stay stuck in that pain forever. I had to believe that I'd come out the other side stronger, even if right now it felt like I was just surviving. So I started focusing on myself. Taking long walks, going to the gym, reconnecting with old friends who didn't judge me or pity me. I realized I needed to rebuild my sense of worth, remind myself that I was more than just a victim of their betrayal. I didn't want to be bitter. I wanted to learn, to grow, and maybe someday find someone who truly deserved my trust. But for now, I had to accept that the people I thought I knew weren't who I believed they were. And that was a hard pill to swallow. As the weeks went by, I started to piece my life back together, but it wasn't easy. Every time I thought I was getting better, something or someone would remind me of what I'd lost. I'd see Lisa's social media posts, her smiling, pretending like nothing had happened, and I'd feel that old anger bubble up. I knew she was trying to move on, acting like she was the victim, but I didn't buy it. Deep down, I knew she was just trying to save face, to cling to whatever shred of dignity she had left. Jack, too, he tried to reach out a few times, offering apologies that felt hollow and insincere. I didn't answer. I didn't want to hear it. One day, I decided I needed closure. Not for her, not for Jack. No, I needed it for myself. I wanted to fully understand what had gone wrong and how I'd let them do this to me. I reached out to someone I trusted, an old friend who'd gone through something similar, just to talk, to get some perspective. That conversation changed everything. It made me realize that I wasn't weak for feeling hurt or betrayed. It also made me understand that I had always been too eager to see the good in people, even when they didn't deserve it. I started to accept that some people are just broken inside, and they'll do whatever it takes to tear you down if you let them. That realization was hard, but freeing too. It was time to stop blaming myself or wondering what I did wrong. The truth was, Lisa and Jack chose their paths, and I was just the unfortunate person who got caught in the crossfire. I decided to stop obsessing over the past and focus on building a future for myself, one that didn't hinge on betrayal and lies. I also realized I had to be honest with myself about what I truly wanted. Did I want revenge? Part of me did, fueled by the pain and humiliation I'd endured. But I knew that kind of revenge would only trap me in bitterness. So I chose a different path. I'd get closure by cutting all ties, moving on, and not letting them define my happiness. I started dating again very cautiously. No rush, just small steps. I knew I'd meet someone someday who would earn my trust for real, not just take it for granted. Most importantly, I learned that trust is something you earn, not something you give blindly. Lisa and Jack taught me that lesson the hard way. It's a painful lesson, but I'll carry it with me forever. No more naivete, no more ignoring red flags. I have to keep my guard up, not to be suspicious of everyone, but to protect myself from people who don't deserve my trust. I don't want to feel this kind of devastation again. I want to believe in love, but I also want to be smart about who I let into my life. Looking back, I wish it hadn't happened the way it did. I wish I could erase the pain and betrayal, but I know that I can't. What I can do is learn from it, grow stronger because of it, and maybe someday find someone who respects me enough not to cheat, lie, or betray. Until then, I'll keep rebuilding, brick by brick, and remind myself that I'm better off without the people who hurt me. That's the only way I'll truly find peace. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I realize I've come a long way from that gut-wrenching night I discovered Lisa's betrayal. It's been a brutal journey, filled with heartbreak, anger, and moments of deep despair. but I also see how it's shaped me into someone I never thought I'd become. I've learned that trust isn't something you give blindly. It's something you build slowly, carefully, with the right people. I've learned that sometimes people are just broken inside and will do anything to tear you down if you let them. And most importantly, I've learned that I am stronger than I ever gave myself credit for. I've come to accept that betrayal is part of life, not because I wanted it or because I deserved it, but because it's inevitable that people will let you down if you're not cautious. The key is not letting that define you. I refuse to be a victim forever. I refuse to let their lies and cheating dictate the rest of my life. I've decided to focus on rebuilding my sense of self, on rediscovering what makes me happy outside of a toxic relationship. I've started to reconnect with friends, re-engage in hobbies I'd ignored, and slowly but surely, I'm learning to trust myself again. This experience has also taught me that revenge isn't the answer, not in the way I initially thought. I used to think showing them how much they hurt me would somehow make me feel better. But I realize now that real strength lies in forgiving yourself for trusting the wrong people and moving forward without bitterness. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of anger and pain. I don't want to carry this weight anymore. I want to live free of their lies, free of the betrayal I endured, and free to find genuine love and happiness again. So I'm choosing to let go of the past, to leave it behind me. I'm not going to dwell on what could have been or what they did. Instead, I'll focus on what's ahead, building a life rooted in honesty, respect, and self-worth. I know I'll never fully forget what happened, but I will learn to accept it and grow from it. Because at the end of the day, that's what life is about, learning, healing, and becoming stronger with every challenge. And I'm finally ready to move on, knowing that I deserve better, that I am enough, and that someday I'll find someone who truly values me for who I am.